Alrighty, everyone. Good morning. Here we are. Annie, where are you? You can come back on now. There
I'm right
she
here.
is. Hello. Right. Hi, everyone. Today
Hello.
I am talking to the wonderful Annie. Say hello, Annie.
Hi. Yes, my sound is on.
Um, Annie has just finished a 12-week plant power transition program with me. And this is a program, oops, I just need to close that in the background. And this is a program that I developed recently to help people transition into plant-based eating who might be struggling to make that transition because, transitioning, it can be pretty tough, can be pretty hard for a lot of people. And I see a lot of people who might have a wealth of knowledge about what to do, but changing behavior is really bad or really tough because they struggle with external factors like family and friends and eating out and things like that. Then there's other people who just simply don't know what to do and they just need a little bit of hand holding. So, my mission in life is to really help people become plant based. One, it's healthier for us. Two, it's healthier for the planet. Three, it's definitely healthier for the animals. So that's my drive in life and why I put this together. And I wanted to share the story of, well, have Annie share her story with you because she came out with some incredible results after 12 weeks. So, Annie, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Yes.
A little bit of an intro about you, who you are, where you're from, and talk to me then about what you were really struggling with when we connected and why you wanted to join this program.
Okay. Well, I'm Annie and I live in Canada. I'm in Ontario, Canada. And right now it is summer for us and the weather is beautiful. Um, I my journey is kind of it's a long one, but I don't think it's an unfamiliar one to a lot of people. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019, fairly aggressive one, and then had a surgery and then had treatments for a year from 2019 to 2020, followed by another surgery. And then the struggles were just really happening. I had a lot of side effects. There was weight gain from side effects, both from the surgery as well as from medications. I wasn't able to walk. I had a lot of pain, a lot of joint pain. I started to look in the mirror, not recognize myself, and I was getting really discouraged and feeling a little hopeless because there would be new developments, and I never felt like I was ever really able to recover. And then I ended up with another diagnosis of type 2 diabetes and as well as liver issues, and my CRP was high. Everything was just crazy. And I slowly started to hear about plant-based eating and whole food plant-based. And I tried to do it on my own. And I was really overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed with the fact that trying to do this, trying to figure out how to eat healthy. Not that I wasn't eating healthy before, but it was not plant-based and it was not working. So it was more like, how do I prepare meals for myself and try to walk and go to treatments, and I still have a husband at home that and try to eat together, and I have 2 adult children still living at home and feeding them. Then everything just suddenly felt like too much, and I suddenly didn't know how to do anything, or in my head I didn't know how to do anything, and I was terrified. I was terrified of trying something else and it not working. And I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of praying and saw a hepatologist, and my hepatologist actually said, well, she says, what do you think about trying a whole food plant-based diet? And my jaw kind of dropped because it's the first time a physician ever said anything. And so she then wrote up a whole recommendation. She has to follow me. I do a ton of tests, and she sent it to my family doctor in detail. And so my family doctor said, okay, but I think she was a little skeptical because I don't know that she thought I would do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I also have a naturopathic oncologist who also recommended this
The
this
universe was
this
pointing
to
you
me.
in a direction,
So
wasn't it?
like everything was just going go go go, and I'm like, okay. And then I found Forks Over Knives, and it was a private group. I'm pretty sure it was Forks Over Knives,
It would have been,
and
yeah.
somebody had said something, and then you posted, and somehow I connected with you, and then we set up a meeting, and then you wrote something. Would you like anyone interested in joining like the transition? I'm doing a beta group, and I was just like, oh I was just like everything. I'm like, yes, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I needed hand holding. I really needed some hand holding, and then we met, and then we started, with an orientation call, and it literally changed my life. Um, I met an amazing group of women, but yeah, it changed my life. You changed my life. Yeah,
Well, we're going to
yeah,
talk about that.
you,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
really,
we will.
yeah, I'm really keen to sort
Yeah.
of understand from you before we dive into all the results that you had and maybe some of the big ahas. But I'm keen to hear um, maybe what some of your what you thought you might have to do, um, maybe on this program, or what you thought you might have to do to achieve the result that you were going to achieve. What was going on in the back of your mind before we even started there?
Um, there was a lot of hope, and there was a lot of fear.
Talk to us about
And
yeah, because
like,
I
is
think
the fear,
everybody.
well, it was like, is this gonna work? Like, is this, I've read all about this, but it's me. There was a part of me that thought, was trying not to be too hopeful,
Mm-hmm.
because there had been just so much in the past 2 years that had gone on. And I desperately wanted to see a change for healing and recovery and everything that I had wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
so in the back of my mind, um, I was a little bit fearful and a little bit holding back, anticipating and expecting, but holding back, because I really didn't know what to expect. I knew
Mm-hmm.
there was going to be homework. I knew there was going to be lectures, and I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to know how to prepare this food, or that it was going to be really difficult. And how was I going to do that with family?
Yeah.
Um, like, so there were a lot of unknowns for me, but I was so desperate that for change, and wanted it so badly, that I thought, I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose. And if I don't do it today, I may never see a change, if there's going to be a change. So I had to step out in faith, regardless of the fear, and just believe that this was going to work. And I was going to take it one day at a time,
Mm.
like one day at a time.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like there's the fear of change and the fear of the unknown. Is this going to work? But then there's also the fear of if I don't change, I'm going to be stuck with
Yes.
what I've got, and this is probably going to get
Yeah.
worse. So it's like, which fear would you rather
Yeah.
face? Which fear sounds better? Staying stuck and probably getting worse, or the fear of the
Yeah.
unknown, the change, but knowing, like logically knowing in with the smart part of your brain, like as you learned, the smart part of your
Yeah.
brain is the one driving you forward and saying, yes, this is the way, because you've seen all of the evidence from everybody else out there. Your doctors are telling you to do this. So um,
Yes.
I commend you for putting foot down and saying yes to yourself, and here we are. So this is
Yeah.
great. So what um, talk to me about what was some of the things that like some of the biggest shifts that you made. Obviously diet was one of them, but what were some of the other things that really shifted for you during this time?
Yeah. The diet was huge, obviously, but I think the biggest part was mindset
Hmm.
throughout.
Yeah.
And that was right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was and having you and the women were incredible.
Yeah.
And I've become really good friends with two of them
Shout
in
out to all of
particular. And
them.
yeah, shout out to all of them because they're like my tribe
Yeah.
and I love them.
Yeah.
And I think it was just that mindset. There was one that let's say you decided to dive in. You had to decide if you were going to go like, full on. And but if you slipped up, and I don't like using the word slipped up because you used to say something, it's just food. And I'm like, it is just food. I'll explain that in just a second because people are going, why is that such a big thing? But I had been eating plant-based, and then I had gone out to get a bagel, and I'd asked for a veggie one, and didn't realize there was cheese on it until after. And I was just like, oh no, there's cheese, and we're supposed to be giving up dairy, and blah, 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 and all the thoughts that go in your head, and you kind of start to beat yourself up. And I remember sending out a note right away to you and to the ladies, and then all the feedback that you said, like, it's just food. Like, you've been doing whole food plant-based, and you just had cheese like that one time. It's just food. And then you just pick up with the next meal. And that was a huge, because it was just food. And all of a sudden it like had no more power,
Yeah.
because it had this power, because it almost had like a power of like, oh, you're so messed up, and you're like just going to go down the rabbit hole and
Yeah.
throw
I'm
everything out the
failed.
window and
Yeah.
just
I can't
right
do
and
this.
do that. And it was just like, when it's just food. Like, it doesn't have legs, it doesn't have arms, it's not going to do it. Like, but it was huge for me because it was like, it was just food. So every once in a while when things would happen, I'd hear your voice in my head. It's just food. Like, move on to the next meal and just live your life, and don't let it take away the joy from the rest of your day. So that was a big one, the just food. Um, and then learning the different things with self-sabotage and how that would happen. But mindset constantly, the next meal, not berating yourself, like, that was huge. Just mindset, and just keep moving one step forward,
Yeah.
one
And
step forward, and not being afraid to just share and be authentic with one another,
yeah, I
because
think
that was a huge support.
yeah, yeah, because we often have this mindset that we have to be perfect. Like, what are we allowed to do?
Yes,
Compliant? What are we allowed to do and not allowed to do? And if I'm not perfect, then I'm failing. And that's a real mindset
yes,
that is a downfall. It's not about perfection. It's about progression. If you
yeah,
slipped up, just learn what happened and go, oh, whoops, okay, I made a mistake. I know about that. I'm more aware of that now. I'll look out for that next time. And it just allows you to
yes,
keep going and not feel like you are failing and like you can't do this and you're stuck and you're
yeah.
struggling. Right? It just gets you out of that spot and keeps you going. So,
It gets you out of that cycle
yeah,
completely,
yeah, yeah,
being able
yeah,
to move forward. It was one meal,
yeah,
like, move on.
yeah.
And the other thing, but yeah, and so, because the other thing that you really helped us all to really take in was the consistency. So it was the big picture. This isn't what you do all the time. It's the other. So it was such a small part of it. And so
Yeah.
being consistent with all your other meals just makes that one meal just a meal. It's not going to do anything. And so it really breaks the cycle and allows you to just keep moving forward and not getting stuck in that, with those negative voices beating you down, saying that you're just horrible, and there you go again.
Yeah.
Change
You're
won't
a
happen
failure.
anymore.
Yeah. We all have it. It's okay.
Yeah.
And but when you recognize that it's also normal human behavior, it's also normal for the brain to want you to stay stuck. It wants to beat you up. It wants to keep you in that cycle so that you go back to your old
Yeah.
habits, because that's what the brain knows. But yeah, mindset is everything. It's not just what we do. It's we everything we do starts with a thought. So really managing
Yes.
that mind so that we just do the things that we want to do, that we say we're going to do, is so key. But I'm keen
Hmm.
to hear about the diet. I know there's a lot of people out there who have partners, who have husbands or wives or other family members who are not on board. And I know that initially your husband didn't want to do this with you. So can you talk to us about how you navigate?
Nobody did.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, actually, like no, well, except for my daughter, because she loves plant-based. She's not a big meat eater or anything, so that wasn't a big deal. But the rest of my family,
Yeah,
my husband, like who grew up like on a farm, and they had cattle
yeah,
that became dinner,
yeah, yeah,
all those things.
yeah.
He loves his meat. And my son likes tofu and stuff, like, but they were not interested. So um it just came down to one. I had to actually make the decision that I mattered and that it was fine. And then Chris said, well, that's fine. If you make it, I'll eat it, which was great because he doesn't really cook. So
You're eating what I'm cooking,
um,
honey.
I was still making meals though that were like, I would make the plant-based meal, and I'd also have like something that had chicken or whatever, because I didn't know if our son would eat what I was going to make, and
So were you
and I
making
really
a
didn't
totally
want
separate
going out.
dish? Were you making a totally separate dish, like two different meals, or were you just cooking a bit of meat on the side that they could add? How did it work for you?
Um, um, some days it was both.
Okay,
It just depended on how many people were going to be in the house.
okay,
Um, but everything was offered at the same time, like, because we always ate together, which
okay.
was really, really nice. But they would smell everything I'm making, and oh, that looks really good. And then one day I got the book Plant You as a gift from my sister,
Hmm.
and she had an always pan. She did not know what it was. She was given it as a gift, and I got all excited. So I said, well, if I can use your pan, I will cook you a meal. And so we made the tacos from the Plant You book. I think you had made them as well.
Yeah.
And I posted photos and everything. And I think it was the next day or the day after, my son and his fiance were like, I have never been more envious of an Instagram post and picture or whatever. I don't even know all the lingo. I am like that old. But they were like, and I said, well, it's plant based. Oh, we'll try it. Like, if that's what that is. And so it started with that. And then they came on board, and I'd say they were mostly whole food plant based, at least when they were at home, because I stopped making the other dishes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then results came in, and then my husband like just totally flipped
That is so
after the
good.
blood work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. And you did this for you in the beginning, not
Yes.
knowing that nobody else was going to be doing this with you, but you just made that commitment to yourself because you knew what it was. You knew it was what you needed, regardless of what everybody else is going to do. And look at the impact that you've had. You've been able to introduce people to eating plants in a way that is delicious and healthy, and they're actually
Yeah.
envious of your food. And now they've
I know
they've
that made me so happy.
I know, and this is what I've seen with other clients that I've had too. Mostly my weight loss clients, but where their partners have not been on board, they just get to work on creating delicious meals, and the partner's like, "Can I try yours? Oh, that's better than mine. Can I have
Yeah.
that?" And or they'll eat their leftovers,
Yeah.
and it's like suddenly they've got. the whole family on board. And I think, just being brave enough to be the first, brave enough to take that step and show other people that this is not as scary or as boring as they might be imagining. I think a lot of people imagine, like, I don't know, just bland salads or boiled veggies or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. And it's delicious.
yeah, so that's amazing. Um, and what were some of your um, biggest ahas or biggest takeaways from going through this process?
Um, one of the biggest ones was, if you're scared, do it anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That was
love that.
huge for me, like just to
Yeah,
do it, because it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be.
yeah.
It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Mm,
There were the things that were hard were not hard because they were difficult to do. They were hard because as you're doing some of the homework and some of the questions that you have us reflect on,
mm,
like when we did that exercise on the whys, I've never done an exercise like that
mm,
ever. And I'm not going to give it away because they just need to do it. Because I've only ever done like the first part of that why thing,
mm,
but
mhm,
no one goes deeper. So the hard part is like when you're filling that in and you realize, oh, that's what that is. And you realize that there's actually like a theme,
mm,
because the answers actually sort of intertwine one with the other,
mm.
and they make this beautiful tapestry because there's actually a theme, and you're going, oh, so that's my pattern, that's what I'm doing.
Mm.
And some of it has to do with your whys, and those are really important to see
Yeah. And what
because
was
it'll keep you going.
yeah.
It keeps you going.
Yeah.
that was
And
that was
what was
huge.
your big theme for your whys?
um the big obvious one was I wanted to live.
Yeah.
I did. I wanted to live. I wasn't. I didn't don't want a recurrence of cancer, and that is a big reality for anyone who's had a diagnosis. Um, so I didn't want that. Um, I had both my kids. My son's engaged. Our daughter just got married. I wanted to be there for their weddings. I wanted to be there for those big moments. I wanted to still be able to travel and enter another season of life with my husband and do things and have adventures. I wasn't ready to just sit back and disappear. I wanted to live like in every aspect, and I still wanted to be able to serve and people and help people, and so that was my biggest thing. And with the diabetes, I wanted to reverse it. I'd heard you could, but didn't know you really could. And I wanted to do that. I wanted my weight from the side effects to come off in a really healthy way. And I wanted vibrancy. I wanted to be able to think clearly. I wanted to be able to have energy to move and walk. Because a year ago, like this time last year, I was only able to move like for 20 minutes. Before that, if I was able to stand for 10. So, the pain and the treatments, I needed to make everything I'd gone through and was still going through to have that there was a reason, and that
Mm.
there was a whole lot more for me. And you
Mhm.
helped me get that.
And and just so everyone knows about this five whys exercise, um,
Yeah,
come away with
that
the
was
golden five if
that
you
was
want.
like it's powerful.
Yeah, but what it helps you do is get focused on the life you want to live,
Yeah.
rather than the pain that you might be experiencing at the moment and sitting there focusing on the pain and what you don't want for your life. You actually start to say, okay, what is it that I am wanting to create in my life?
Yeah.
And when you start focusing on that, you start actually realizing that there is more for you, and you start moving towards that. So
Yes.
I love that that was a powerful exercise for you.
So powerful. Like it just solidified everything.
Yeah,
Because it
beautiful.
was the first time I had actually put it on paper, because it is powerful. Because sometimes when you don't say it and you actually write it down, like, you're going to want to make the changes
Yeah,
because they matter that much,
beautiful. I love that.
right? They
Yeah,
matter that much.
absolutely. So what were some of your other, I guess, takeaways, ahas, powerful moments?
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the whys were a big one. The consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the importance of community
Oh yeah, yep,
was a big one.
yep.
Um, just because as you're doing the mindset work, um, there are some days that are going to be easier where the stuff that you're learning you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
than other times it's not second nature yet, right? Like, it's, so to be able to have that community, that was really important. um, the skills that you gave us to prepare, those were big things. I didn't realize, just how important some of that prep work was.
Yeah. And do you
And
mean
you
like
showed
the
me that I could do it. Like, yeah, like the meal plans,
Mhm.
and it wasn't as frightening as I thought it was going to be. Not as overwhelming.
Yeah,
The importance of keeping things simple and not
yeah,
overcomplicating things, because I think I was, or just the thought of it,
yeah,
like, you can overthink.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those are a few. I know I have more because I kept notes. I have my binder with me. I printed everything.
Oh, good.
I printed everything.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I highly recommend that because
And then you talked a lot about, like, the old brain, the old thinking.
yep,
I so all of that.
yep.
I don't want to give too much away.
Oh no, no.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. I love it.
Yeah.
Tell everyone what it's like.
It is like, it seriously is fantastic.
Oh, thank
Like,
you.
it is, like, it's the way you have it. It's not like anything I've ever done.
Oh, good. That's what
It's
I like to
it's
do. Like I like to
like
be.
it's nothing. Yeah,
I've
it's
always.
so incredible.
Oh, good. Yeah. And I like, I can see, the more I'm in, the more I personally am hanging out in groups like, vegan beginner groups or forks over knives or things like that. I'm really seeing what the things are that people struggle with. And that's why I wanted to pull this program together because I can see a lot of it is mindset, but a lot of it's a bit of how to, like, how do I do this stuff? Like, I want to do it. I just don't know, I don't have the skill yet. How do I do it? So
Yeah,
I really think
and it's
providing.
easy, if or easier, like, if, because I know from you, so, well, yes, but you're one person. I have, like, a whole family, or I have other people depending on me.
Mm,
So how do I do this and
yeah,
still
yeah,
bring everybody along?
yeah, 100%. So um, um, maybe I should put that part further up in the program. But it's hard to know where to put everything. Like there's so much to learn. But yeah, talk to us. I'm really keen for you to tell us about how you feel now. What are the
Oh
results
my,
that you've had? Like they're stellar. I've just listed some of them in the post and in the promo that I've done. But you just
yeah,
went through all your symptoms, plus you've had your blood work done. Your doctor
yeah.
has been incredibly happy with your results. Talk to.
Oh, so happy. Yeah, because the last time you and I spoke, um, I had gotten the sneak peek of the results, but was only going to actually see her in person the next day.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just going to give everybody just a quick recap. When I started with Karen, my A1C was at 10.3. The last time it was taken was in March, and they'd redo blood work every 3 months. So I was going to be coming due. So in March it was 10.3, and my CRP, I had it written down, was crazy
4.5.
high.
Yeah.
Sorry?
4.5.
Yeah,
Mm. And that's
it
the
was.
C-reactive protein, which is the marker, inflammation marker.
Yes, yeah. So my naturopathic oncologist was already looking at that from beforehand, because not just because of the chemo, but I took a specific, it was called a targeted therapy. It was Herceptin that
Mhm.
really affects the heart as well. And so they were watching my heart because it can also has the marker for heart attacks and all those lovely things. So
Oh, yeah,
finding out
right?
it was high
Medications, they're great.
and was right, just like, oh,
Mhm.
yay. And it was getting progressively high. And so my A1C was 10.3, my CRP was high. They did a whole bunch of other stuff as well, like a slew of blood tests, and it was all high. And so when I started with Karen, um, one of my goals was to see if it could help bring it down. Um, I did not anticipate how much it brought it down. Like I didn't think it would be that quick. I was just shocked. I was shocked. So like, I'm still shocked. Um, so we started and you and I, like the program is 12 weeks,
Mhm.
but by the time I actually did the blood work, which was on a Tuesday, I had only been doing whole food plant-based full on, and I counted it. It was 10 and a half weeks.
Yeah,
It
beautiful.
wasn't right, not even the full
Yep, because we
12
don't get
yet.
going on day one. Like we do
No,
some prep
yeah.
work and we work out what we're going to do first, and then we go, okay, now you can
Yeah,
gradually
it
bring it
was really gentle. It gave you time. So you never felt pressured in this program. Like, oh my gosh, I've got to catch up. And
up.
everything was just laid out and you had time to read it and prepare. And it was like, it was so good. And it was just paced so beautiful because it didn't feel overwhelming. So did the blood work and I checked it and my A1C went from 10.3 to 6.1 and normal is 6.0. And lower obviously, but like that's the high end of normal is 6.0, like that's where it sort of breaks off. And I remember doing a double take because it said 6.1. So then I had to go back. I'm like, no, it really was a 10.3. And so when I saw my CRP went from high to normal.
Hmm.
And that was huge. I was just,
Hmm.
and all of everything that was higher, some of them have not come back down to normal, but everything was coming down.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
all of the number, like everything was on the downward,
yeah.
and it was incredible. I saw my doctor and she was shocked and she was so happy. And she said, so you've been doing the whole food plant-based diet? I said, yeah. And I told her about you. I said, I was a little overwhelmed in how to do it. So then I found Karen and this is when we started like 11 weeks ago, 10.5 weeks ago was when we met and and she's been helping me transition to the whole food plant-based diet. And she says, well, you just keep doing what you're doing. And so I said, so are we still on track to come off the meds? Because that was my goal. I did not want to be on any more medication than I needed to be.
Mm.
And she said, yes. She said, we're going to do blood work in 3 months. We're just going to leave things as is because I anticipate it dropping even further. Those were her words. I
Yeah.
anticipate it dropping even further. We'll cut your meds in half and then we'll wait another 3 months and then we'll take you off the meds.
That's fantastic. Now that's the
So
meds, isn't it?
this is the metformin.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
she wants to gradually take me off. So she's
Yep.
cutting the dosage in half
Yep.
first, and then we'll do blood work, and then we'll take me off them completely.
Yeah, beautiful.
Um, I also had massive joint pain, like in my hands, and I had neuropathy
Hmm.
that I see an osteopath for. But the joint pain in my knees and in my hands and in my fingers, I was on a medication for that, and that pain completely disappeared.
Yeah.
I used to wake up in so much pain and then need to put my hands into ice packs.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
yeah, like it was bad. Like I it was bad. I remember the first time waking up and I couldn't close my hands to pull up the blanket, and the pain was just awful. So I was on the pain meds, and those I saw Dr. Flower, my naturopathic oncologist. That was actually one of the side effects um, from the treatments,
Oh, yeah.
and one of the pills that I'm on.
Yeah.
And I don't have to take it anymore. So I'm officially 100% off those
Yeah.
as of Tuesday this week. Yeah,
And
so
I'm watching you
there's
with
been
your
a lot.
hands.
So no joint pain. I'm
Yeah, I'm watching
sleeping
with your
through
hands
the night.
moving. Yeah.
I know, like I do this. I'm just like,
Yeah.
ah,
Hey, got my
yeah.
hands
It-
back.
like my hands are back. Well, yeah, and it makes sense because the CRP and the inflammation markers, everything's gone down,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? So I can sleep through the night.
Yep.
I don't have the abdominal pain that I used to have. I'd have the digestive distress used to be so bad that the pain, like I would feel nauseous.
Oh, okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And and that was one of those, like, it was in your one of those tracker things. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I've had that.
Mm.
And that's all gone. So I've had a lot of changes, and I know it's only going to continue to get better.
Mm-hmm.
My clarity is better, thinking is better. Um, yeah,
That's the thing too. Like,
hot flashes are better.
oh yeah, yep, yep. All those menopausal symptoms go away.
Yeah,
And I see all of my clients who are menopausal and struggling to sleep. Sleep normalizes.
yeah,
And also the brain fog, the brain fog that you experience when you are, I guess eating other ways, and the brain fog that comes from eating animal products and processed foods is a shocker, and it can actually impact your ability to make sensible decisions in your life,
yeah.
including becoming plant based. So
Yeah,
once
because
like that,
you go in circles.
yeah, and the primitive brain is really activated a lot. When by eating that diet, and so it wants to keep you in that pattern, and
Yes.
it actually prevents you from making a sensible decision and just doing it. So but I see so much mental clarity, like the brain fog disappears, just the ability to make better decisions all round comes from making that decision, just ignoring all that noise in there and making the decision because you know it's going to be the right one. So I hear that
Yeah.
one time and time again from people. So yeah, it's happened for you as well. Um,
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
else? What else? What were some of the other big things for you that really shifted? I did put them in my post.
I know there was a lot.
No, and let me just go back and have a look. Let's see what I can
Mhm.
find. Oh, you said your mood swings and your whole mood, the
Yeah.
anxiety and the depression as well.
Yeah, the anxiety really, like there was with menopausal symptoms too. Anxiety is like a normal thing that can occur. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say normal. It's a common thing that some women can experience. Um, you add on some of the medication that I'm on, because I'm also on tamoxifen and some other things, just for it's still chemo treatment, just not in the it's
No,
after,
yes,
like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So there's some of the side effects from that is also anxiety, depression. So I was finding that there were things that I used to be able to do, like driving downtown, and all of a sudden the thought of driving downtown was just like, and I couldn't do it. I
oh
just
wow,
couldn't do it.
wow,
Like, so there was anxiety over different things, and sometimes just feeling anxious out of it would just start to rise up, like the thought of
yeah,
something or doing something, or somebody would say something, and all of that, like the anxiety is actually gone,
yeah.
which is crazy. And so, and then the mood swings, like everything has just settled, and I think it's just that, did you hear that?
I did.
That's my bedtime routine, because I
Oh,
have because I have evening meds.
oh
So I
yeah,
have to, like, I started, that was the other thing you taught, is like sleep hygiene, so important. Um, but I digress. But yeah, so just all of that, the anxiety and the depression and the mood swings
yeah.
have all like
Oh,
subsided.
Yeah.
But a part of that too is because you've got more clarity.
Yeah.
So as thoughts come in, you're able to take them captive
Yeah.
more quickly because you're like, oh, wait a minute. And so you can take a step back and, like, no, that thought's not true.
Yeah.
And
You
like
can
just
stop
and
believing.
then just keep moving like it's a bad passenger on a bus, and when the bus driver stays and eventually that passenger gets off
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
leave it alone long enough.
I
So
love
it's
that
just like, yeah,
analogy.
I'm just gonna leave you there because you're just like useless to me. But being able to do that, having that clarity, I think is also what helps with that, the fact that those the anxiety isn't so bad because you're able to just function more normally
Yeah,
in
yeah,
your
the
day
thoughts
to
don't go
day.
away. Yeah, you're actually activating a different part of the brain again. You're
Yes.
activating that prefrontal cortex that catches that shitty primitive brain thought and goes,
Yeah.
not today.
Just like, we're just gonna
Go
leave you
away.
there.
You're
Yeah.
not helpful. P.O.
Just gonna leave you there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so oh, you also said nasal issues were down.
Yes, because I used to
Breathing
have
on. Yeah,
like almost like congestion-y, like
yeah,
runny nose.
yeah,
But
yeah,
once I got rid of the dairy,
yeah.
and it's interesting because if I have it, or if it's in something I didn't realize, all of a sudden, like I'll be like sniffing. I was like, oh, I feel congested, and then realize, oh,
Dairy, yeah.
it
Dairy
was the
and oils I
dairy.
find too. Anything with oils in it really activates my nose too. I'm similar, hereditary sinus issues. If you listen to my father and my grandfather, you would understand. So issues with the sinuses, but yeah, certainly for me, first ditching dairy and then ditching oils and processed foods were was amazing for me.
Yeah.
Um, what else? You said your energy's up, your weakness and your tiredness are down as well. So that's probably some of the other main things that we talked about.
But my stamina too, because I went during our 12 weeks, I spent a week in Portugal,
Yeah.
and
Yes,
I was
right.
walking 8 to 12 kilometers a day.
That's right. And before that, you could barely stand for 20 minutes at a time, right? Like last year.
Well, the 20 minutes was really great. Like at the start, like this time last year, it was, this time last year, I was just getting up to 20 minutes. In earlier in the summer, I could stand for 10 minutes and walk for 10 minutes. But any longer than that, like if I pushed it, then that meant I wasn't doing anything for the week. Um, I like just doing basic things like standing by your sink to do the dishes. Um, I would be there and I would start, but if it was for any length of time, the pain would start to hit, and if I would try to push it, then that was it. If I walked for 15 minutes, I couldn't do the basic things. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs. Like that was like I couldn't. The pain was so bad, and it was just I thought, is this going to be like the rest of my life? Like, did I go through all of this for this?
Yeah.
And found the osteopath, and he started to help with that, and then met Shane Patton. Actually, and he was the one who started talk about whole food. Well, have you ever heard of? And I'm like, And so the seed got planted then,
Okay. Yeah.
and then you showed up.
And now you're
And then
walking
you
back to
showed up a
me.
few months later, and the rest is
Mm,
like I'm not even the same person.
yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not.
that's so amazing.
Because I feel like you between you and Trevor, like
Yeah.
you've really given me my life back,
Oh,
and I have so much hope for the future. I'm not perfect yet. I'll
hey,
never be perfect,
who
but
is?
like the whole
Thank
food
God.
plan, it's like it's still
Yeah.
a journey. I'm still learning. I love your meal plans. I've got mine going for next week,
Good. Yes.
but it it changed my life. Like I am doing things. I'm able to go to the market. I can do my own dishes. Not that I like doing them, but I can do that. And I can stand to fold laundry, and I have stamina, and energy to go on a date with my husband. And you were a big part of that.
Oh,
And the whole group was. And so, like, honestly, if anyone's watching and you're really questioning, should I, like, just, will it work? Like, you're not going to know till you try, but it really does work if you just take it a day at a time and do the things that Karen shares and follow the steps. Um, and it's not, nothing's going to happen overnight. There's a part of me that still thinks like, oh, in 3 months will my blood work still really be that great? But I don't see how it can't. But yeah,
yep, yep. Your brain
yeah,
is.
it wasn't just a plant power transition. It was a whole transformation in mindset and in my future. Like, yeah, you're just huge, and you have no, I don't think you realize just how much you have to offer and what a difference it makes to so many people, and the hope that you give. And yeah, you are really working in your gifting, and you are a gift to the world, and you're a gift to me.
Oh,
And yeah, I thank you so much because I feel alive again. And I know I'm crying, but it's
oh,
just,
you're gonna make me cry. Like I've got the tears starting to well up too.
yeah, it's the best thing you will ever do. It's the best gift. You're going to give it to yourself, and then in return, you're going to give it to your family and your friends because you're going to actually be present to be with them. It's so much more than a food. It's so much more than a number on a scale. Like,
100%.
it's not that at all,
Yeah, your
you
wise
know?
took you right back to what actually it's all about, and that is living the life that you want to live. Yeah,
Yeah, and that we were meant to live.
yeah, yeah. Not just survive. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not meant to survive. We're meant to thrive, and we're meant to just bring light and love and joy to each other and to ourselves. And so you just got to do it.
Mhm.
You just got to do it. And it's okay. And like, you're the perfect person to do it with. I needed the hand holding. And I'm grateful for that. And I think sometimes we think that we should be able to do it all on our own. And it's the biggest lie. I think
Yeah,
it's
we're
the
meant to.
biggest lie that we've been fed.
We are.
The power within. We're not meant to be alone.
No, we're not. No, we're meant to be here on this planet to help each other, help each other
Together.
thrive and grow.
Exactly.
And once we accept that and find our space within that, that's when we really are thriving and growing. So,
Yeah.
and I think you
Yeah.
should share your story with Forks Over Knives. If you're not on their email database, get on their email database. And when
Okay.
they put an email out asking for you to submit your story, I think you should submit your story. My story will apparently be shared in the next issue that comes out in September.
Oh,
So I'm really
fantastic.
stoked. I wasn't expecting to be chosen, but apparently it's going to be in there. So I'm really stoked. But I think you should share your story because it's very powerful. And there are lots of people out there who are experiencing what you're experiencing and want to be now where you are now. Um,
Yeah.
and I will be sharing your story with as many people as I can as well because I want to show people what is possible if you just make the commitment.
Yeah.
And
Just
not
say
even,
yes.
not even to my program, just make the commitment to yourself. If you want to join my program, if you want to join anybody else's program, but just find, if you're struggling, find some help. And, I've
Yeah.
got the program that I'm relaunching in September. So, if anyone wants to um, have a chat about whether that's going to be right for them, please let me know. But it doesn't have to be my program. There are many programs out there that help people transition to plant-based eating too. These sorts of results can be for you too if you just make that commitment for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
your program really is the best.
Okay, I think so too. I think so too. I don't just focus on the food. I focus on the mindset and how you actually start to live this life in this world that is not set up to support people like us. Like, how do we become leaders in this space too, and really help
Yeah.
encourage others step into it too. So,
Yeah. It's beautiful.
thank you, Annie. It was such a pleasure talking to you today, and I will let you get on with your bedtime routine. I appreciate you staying up this late for me, and I'm sorry we couldn't go live with it, but I will definitely be putting this up into YouTube. If you want to share it, I can share the link with you, and also it'll go into the Facebook group very shortly as well.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
that's great.
Okay.
Night.